Hi, this is the virtual Miss Long jumping at you through your computer screen. Today we are looking at expository writing. Last class, or a previous class, we learned that expository writing explains. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be using expository writing by creating an essay map. Our objectives include to learn how an essay map helps organize your ideas before writing, and we're going to follow the essay map format to complete notes for 2 hamburger paragraphs and a conclusion paragraph. You will end up completing that by taking a look at my model and see how I used my introduction and how I mapped out the first hamburger paragraph. Let's see what our prompt is. Before you begin writing, it's kind of obvious, but you need to understand what is your prompt. What is the question that someone is asking you to write about? The prompt today is, how has technology changed throughout the ages? The reason we're taking a look at this prompt is because it was a writing prompt from the SOL last year. Now, this question is very straightforward. It has you looking at the word technology. So your main topic is going to be technology. And using technology, you're going to see and explain how technology has changed. To begin organizing your ideas, we create an essay map. This is the shape of an essay map. The first rectangle represents the introduction paragraph. The 3 lines below represent and stand for hamburger paragraph number 1, hamburger paragraph number 2, and hamburger paragraph number 3. The bottom rectangle represents and stands for your conclusion paragraph. As always, we should start at the top. We can begin organizing our ideas on an essay map by taking a look at the inverted pyramid. This inverted pyramid is used to get us planning for our introduction paragraph. Remember, the purpose of an introduction paragraph is to introduce your ideas. To introduce your ideas, you need 3 different types of sentences. You need the hook sentence, the background knowledge sentence, and the thesis statement. The hook sentence is intended to grab your audience's attention. You can write a hook sentence in several different ways. You can choose to write a rhetorical question. You can choose to write a simile. You can choose to write an anecdote, a short story, that gives lots of imagery, or you can choose to write a fact. In this case, for this prompt, I chose to write a fact. Here is my hook statement in the form of a fact. Back in 1840, it would take a total of 4 days to go from New York to Washington, D.C. However, because of modern flight, that trip only takes 45 minutes. After I have my hook, I move immediately into what we call background knowledge. I call it background knowledge because it informs the audience about your main idea. And in this case, our main idea is technology. Technology, such as flight, clearly improves our lives. Technology is the application of scientific knowledge with the goal to make our lives more practical and easier. This sentence almost sounds like a dictionary definition because it's meant to summarize that main idea. However, when you get to the thesis statement, this is where your opinion comes to play. Without a doubt, I love starting thesis statements with without a doubt. Without a doubt, technology has evolved in the areas of battle protection, transportation, and communication in positive ways. Notice how this thesis statement restates the prompt, how has technology changed, and provides 3 reasons about how it has changed: protection, transportation, and communication. My opinion is that it has changed in positive ways. So I'm going to show how protection, transportation, and communication have left a positive impact in our lives. To plan out each one of my hamburger paragraphs, I'm going to use the lines below the introduction paragraph. My first line to the left represents my H1, and my first step was to draw the hamburger model shape: a top bun for the topic sentence, a red juicy detail, a green lettucey detail, and a brown meaty detail. I also included the bottom bun to represent my conclusion sentence. Notice at the top how I used the word protection. Protection is going to guide my topic sentence as well as the rest of my hamburger paragraph model. The information I'm using for protection comes from the essay, the expository essay that we read a previous class, entitled Centuries of Protection. In Centuries of Protection, I learned that one of the first ways people protected themselves in battle was through chain mail. Here in my essay, I would describe how chain mail protected people, but it did have flaws. I'd probably use some of the site images similar to what I read in that essay. For my lettucey detail, I would include information about steel suits. I would include the parts of a steel suit, and I would also include how those parts were very heavy, making steel suits a very difficult way to protect yourself from battle. You were as good as dead if you fell off the horse. Lastly, I would talk about how technology improved battle protection by mentioning Kevlar vests. They're lightweight and they can stop a speeding bullet. Here, for my details, I went in sequential order: chainmail, steel suits, to Kevlar vests. This is a smart way to organize your details. Lastly, I have my bottom bun. And in my bottom bun, I'm going to give a wrap-up statement about how Kevlar vests are the best improvement in comparison to chainmail and steel suits. So far, the essay map has allowed me to plan out my ideas for my introduction and allowed me to take notes about my hamburger paragraph. Now it becomes your turn to see how the essay map can allow us to organize our ideas. Notice in the thesis statement how my first point related to protection. So my first hamburger paragraph is about battle protection. For hamburger paragraph number 2, take a look at my second point in my thesis. That's transportation. So for hamburger paragraph number 2, we will start with the topic sentence transportation. But what you're going to do is take a look using internet resources and find how transportation has changed throughout the centuries. Start with a juicy detail, the first type of transportation people invented. Then move on to your lettucey detail, showing us how that improved. And then lastly, end with the transportation that we have today. Go in sequence. That's the part and the important part about planning out your ideas. Once you have finished your research on transportation and finding 3 different types of transportation, move on to your third hamburger paragraph, communication. Notice how communication is the third detail in our thesis statement. Just as you do research about transportation, do the same for communication. A red detail about one of the first inventions about how people communicated to each other. A lettucey detail about how that invention improved. And then the meaty detail, how people communicate with each other today. Again, go in sequence, go in order. It makes the most sense for this particular prompt. Once you have finished your research for hamburger paragraph number 2, transportation, and hamburger paragraph number 3, communication, move on to the conclusion paragraph. In the conclusion paragraph, you wrap up your ideas. You restate your ideas. You retell them. You reword them. Essentially, we're summarizing. Please look at your introduction paragraph, because for a conclusion paragraph, you're essentially just rewording what you've already done in the introduction. We developed a code together in class about how we can wrap up our ideas. This code is HTSS. Say it out loud with me. HTSS. Don't be shy, nice and loud. HTSS. Here, the H stands for a new, fresh hook. I already did a hook about a fact, so you are not going to want to do another hook with another fact. Instead, you might want to ask a question, or you might want to make a simile. For the T, T stands for thesis. Restate the thesis statement that I have already given you. Mention protection, transportation, and communication, but in a different way. Summarize over all of the points after you have made your thesis. Essentially, you are looking at your background knowledge and restating the sentence that I gave you. The most unique sentence in the conclusion is the last S, that super so what. That super so what statement gives us a hint toward the future, what protection, transportation, and communication might look like in 100 years or so. In order to complete your hamburger paragraph 2, your hamburger paragraph 3, and your conclusion paragraph, you'll need to be able to use online resources. I have provided 4 different helpful resources. They are a combination of reliable YouTube videos as well as reliable written resources. If you type in tinyurl.com/techsource1, 2, 3, or 4, it will lead you to these helpful resources. Remember, our ultimate goal is to see how this essay map can help us organize our ideas. If you have a question along the way or are confused about the order of the essay map, please raise your hand and one of your teacher leaders will come over to help you. I'll be interested to see, how has technology changed for you over the ages?